What's up, guys? Coming at you from Shenzhen again, and I am going to, just like last night, do a quick drive around and a chat about coronavirus. And that's why I am deliberately coming out a little bit earlier than I did last night to get a better feel for what's going on during the daytime. It is, it's just before 5 o'clock now. So let's head out. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to try to get a few shots that I've been hoping to get for a while with this 3-meter selfie stick with my 360 camera, where basically the camera is above the car and it looks like we got a drone following us. I don't know if I can pull the shot off. I've seen it online and we'll give it a shot. I'm still gonna leave this camera that's attached to my windscreen recording just in case I don't get any good footage, but fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. All right, guys, so we're on the go here. Hopefully the 360 camera is looking as cool as I'm hoping it will. I'm not gonna be able to see it until I get home and get this into editing, of course. But let's give this a shot. So I think I should start off by saying that I should give you an update on the last video I did. Last night I finished it off with a video that was shared in a WeChat group that I literally received while I was editing the video of a group of people who were quarantined in a local hotel here, actually not too far from where we are driving right now. And I had said it was they were from a ferry from Hong Kong over to here. And that was actually incorrect. It was not a ferry. I'm not sure exactly who's quarantined in that hospital, but the ferry story was actually a cruise ship, and they had gone out on a 6-day cruise and they were coming back. It was reported that 2 people on the ship had a fever, but then when the authorities came in, they found that everybody was okay. Everybody was clear to go. So I think that's perhaps important to correct and also to mention, because that's what we're faced with here, is we're going to have a lot of information, a lot of stuff going on, which is not necessarily reliable, especially as it's coming through in the moment. And that's not something that's exclusive to China, for those of you who think that it is China that has unreliable information. This is quite a universal thing. I haven't seen all of the videos where there are people talking who are claiming to be doctors here, but I'd take those with a grain of salt also. You know, a lot of the kind of career China bashers, so to speak, or even people who look like they legitimately are funded, and I'll explain that more in a second, seem to be jumping on top of this. And how could they not? I mean, this is the perfect opportunity. I mean, if you make a living out of bashing China, or that's the thing you do, then, you know, how could you not jump on top of this? And there's even a guy named Arslan, and he's a classic misinformation guy. And what he used to do is he used to focus on Uyghur issues in Xinjiang, and he's a so-called Uyghur activist. I think he lives in Australia. And he continually mines through, for years, he mines through TikTok videos, well, Douyin from the Chinese TikTok. And he'll take videos, for example, of like kids at their first day of school, crying, you know, first day of kindergarten. And he'll say, you see, their parents have been shipped off to a intern camp, and now the kids are crying for them. And it's the most ridiculous things you can think of. You see, he posts videos of Uyghurs drinking alcohol and saying, oh, it's the CCP forcing them to drink alcohol. And it's like they're laughing and drinking with each other. And the Uyghur ethnic minorities, they have a history of hundreds of years of winemaking. So it's the most ridiculous stuff. And he actually he teamed up with a lady once who was going to do an AMA on Reddit. And she says, I'm a Uyghur activist and my family is locked away in Xinjiang. Ask me anything. And before it started, somebody uncovered that she actually worked for the NED and Radio Free Asia. And she was directly involved with Guantanamo Bay. And so basically all of the questions as it started was just filled with questions about, hey, how was your time working with the CIA? How was your time working with Guantanamo Bay? And this stuff isn't like Alex Jones kind of conspiracy stuff. It's legitimate. Like, she really worked for these guys. And I'll share the link with you of, there's a Medium article that basically exposes her. And you can link to the Reddit AMA from there. She basically shut it down. She basically didn't answer anything after that. But it's really funny. Take a look through all the top comments. And then I'll also share a Twitter link with you in the description of this Arslan guy, and you can see firsthand some of the misinformation stuff that he does. I might even share a few links. But that's important for you to keep in mind too. When you're looking at these videos of claiming that they're doctors, or videos that are being repurposed saying, oh, you see what's happening here. Because if you think there's a propensity to have misinformation here or lack of information here, and you're somehow immune to it because you're out of China, that's a pretty naive take. That's obviously not the case, and you've got all of the evidence to prove that this kind of stuff happens all the time. But you know what? At the end of the day, people are going to believe what they want. They're not going to apply the same kind of scrutiny towards something when that something is saying something that they like. So that's something that's pretty important to keep in mind. I think one of the other things I want to mention is one of the biggest criticisms so far of Wuhan, other than the lack of information or the cover-up in the beginning, was basically that they didn't shut the city down fast enough. And that, to me, is really remarkable. You know, there was I don't know if it was the World Health Organization, it was somebody from a global body. They were asked, what do you think of China shutting down Wuhan? Do you think it will help solve the issue? And basically his reply was, I have no idea. Literally nobody has ever done anything on this scale before. And so this whole thing, when people criticize that part of it, reminds me of a C.K. Louis bit. He was on Conan O'Brien, and the title of it was something like, Everything is Amazing and Nobody is Happy. And he talks about a story of when he was on an airplane, and they found out that, you know, so after they took off, a flight attendant came on the air and said, hey guys, open up your laptop. You will find that you have Wi-Fi. And he says, this is amazing. He opened up his laptop. He was watching YouTube videos, and he's like, this is amazing. And then it went down. And they're like, oh, we're sorry, we're having technical problems with it. And the guy who was sitting beside him was like, oh, Jesus Christ, you got to be kidding me. And he looks at him and he's like, how quickly the world owes you something that you didn't even know existed 10 seconds ago. And that's how I feel about this too. It's like, this is something that they're doing on an epic scale here that's never been done before, and it's still not good enough. And it's kind of funny when you really think about it. And the other thing too, which perhaps ties into that, is that today one of my buddies from Shanghai sent me a message and said that there is something being censored in China right now. And that is a hashtag related to Shanghai applying to the Beijing government to shut down their city the same way that Wuhan has, not letting people in or out. And so that's been censored. You can't talk about that right now. And so that raises an interesting question, the dilemma that you guys need to think about. So Wuhan was criticized for not putting the travel ban in place, or not travel ban, whatever you want to call it, the quarantine of the city soon enough, and most important, that people had warning so people could escape. So now what you have is you have this topic being censored, and it's potentially for one of two reasons. So one reason could be because it's just fake news, and they don't want fake news to spread, or it could be because it's real news, and they don't want to give people in Shanghai advance warning that the city will be locked down if there really are people who are getting fevers in large numbers in Shanghai, and they want to stop them from exiting. So the question is are you okay with that? Because I'm sure that nobody's going to be okay with that. The kind of regular China critics, they're going to be, you see, this is what's happening, they're restricting information. Well, it's like, hold on a second. Well, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to really effectively shut off a city without allowing people to escape? Or do you want to criticize the censorship that is designed to make that possible? And I think that ties into the same kind of idea of China taking these epic steps to shut down a city of 11 million people. And, you know, when you consider the fact that nothing will ever be good enough that goes on here. So that really is something to keep in mind. And what else I want to talk about? You know, in terms of on the ground here, hopefully you've seen a little bit of the scenery here, and you get an idea for how many people here are wearing masks, how many are not. There's a mix of both. Most people are wearing masks. Probably the strangest one I've seen so far is of a couple where one was wearing a mask and one wasn't. It's like, well, what's the use of that? If you're going to catch it and take it home, you're both going to still get it. But overall, it seems like most people here are wearing masks. A lot of the kids too, I'm seeing. When I came out, us and our family, me and my family, we've been pretty much camped out at home, cooking at home, watching some movies, hanging out with the kids. So I haven't come out much, but when I did come out, I did notice my building put cling film over the buttons in the elevator. So I don't know if that means they're going to change it every day, or it basically makes it easier for them to sanitize. They'll just spray that down with an alcohol spray or something like that. I'm not sure, but that's a new thing that I've never seen before. We've got SeaWorld on the left here. There's still a lot of people walking around, and some, a bunch of restaurants open and things like that. It looks pretty characteristic overall for Chinese New Year, because the city empties out pretty well completely during Chinese New Year. So nothing really unusual, other than obviously pretty much everybody's wearing a mask. So I think I will wrap it up there. I'm sure there were a couple of other items I wanted to cover in this video. So if I think of them, I'll do a follow-up video. I'll probably do one anyways, maybe commenting on some of the other pictures and images I've seen online. There was an epic one I just saw before I came out, where you see the authorities blocking a tunnel out of Wuhan to basically physically stop people from being able to escape on the freeways. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if that's basically a landslide or some sort of another issue from some other period of time that's being repurposed for this. And that's something that you guys should really be on the alert for. And just, again, don't approach this situation with the naive idea that because you're outside of China, you're getting the real story. And somehow us here, we are more subject to kind of fake news and being misled. That's absolutely not the case. So keep that in mind. And as I said yesterday, everybody stay safe, especially if you're here. Keep your hands clean. Take all the precautions that that you're supposed to in situations like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.